still small voice of God is the solution to 1,000 problems. And it's the key to discovering your identity and your destiny. His voice is joy. His voice is wisdom. His voice is healing. His voice is peace. His voice is power. His voice is grace. His voice is truth. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be light." And those 4 words are still creating galaxies at the outer edge of the universe. How did God do it? He did it with his voice. The universe is God's way of saying, look at what I can do with 4 words. And if God can do that with 4 words, what are we worried about? The voice that spoke the universe into existence is the same voice that parted the Red Sea and that told the sun to stand still. His voice can heal a withered arm or wither a barren fig tree. His voice can turn water into wine. It can install synaptic connections between the optic nerve and visual cortex of a blind man's brain. And it can resurrect a man who has been 4 days dead. There's nothing that God's voice cannot say, cannot do, and frankly, he can do it however he pleases. He can speak through a burning bush, and he can speak through Balaam's donkey. And he can stop a storm on the Sea of Galilee with 3 words, "Peace, be still." And that's tough for us to comprehend, and I'll tell you why. Because we use our voices for about one thing: to communicate, to speak. And sometimes you can talk real loud, you can shout. How many of you know that still doesn't always work? Right. And maybe we can use our voice in a beautiful way and sing. But our voices, our capacity is limited to that. And so when we think voice, we think phonics, but this is about physics. Most people I know would say that they've never heard the voice of God. And if you're talking about the audible voice of God between 20 and 20,000 hertz, me neither. But God's voice isn't limited to our range of hearing. The reality is this: it's when you get outside the human range of hearing that sound waves begin to do some strange and mysterious things. Now, I don't have time to talk about infrasound and ultrasound, but suffice it to say, God's ability to speak is not limited to our ability to hear audibly. Can I tell you how God uses his voice? God uses his voice to create, and to convict, and to heal, and to reveal, and to guide, and to grace.